Somebody went and said, like Dave Rubin, it was like, Family Guy's not doing gay jokes anymore. I'm going to need to join the National Front.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no choice.
But it's also ironic because if anything is fueling the fires of reaction worldwide, it's this neoliberal status quo that cannot continue. It's not radical leftism.
Maybe, but I still think that those folks have a different option.
I'm not talking about individual psychology. I'm talking about world systems.
Ooh.
Yeah, Dave seems to be talking about the individual psychology.
I'm talking about Emmanuel Wallerstein, world systems theory.
Yeah,
I saw that in Wikipedia.
But I don't even think that
he was an SJW.
I mean, I don't think that turning towards a white supremacy as an option is necessarily systemic. This system is already set up that way.
No, I'm talking about it on a totally different level than him.
Oh, well, yes.
I should hope so.
Not to toot my own horn or anything.
The answer I just think, though, what's interesting is like, okay, there's the abortion move in the last couple of days, and now there's this. I feel like, and they're going to launch their own alternative platform, and I feel like the abortion thing makes me think there's some type of partnership with Glenn Beck in the works. But that also is like there, and then that also, I feel like that Levin and Beck, maybe you're going to see like they might be letting go of the MLK was a great guy. That's what I'm talking about. They might have to make their own transition to like, I did some research. That guy's actually a fucking communist.
It's not inconceivable, but I mean, look, they have no choice, and they have no other choice because
that's what what's her name, Ayaan Hirsi Ali also said about Anders Breivik.
Ayaan Hirsi Ali literally said in 2011, I believe, that Anders Breivik. This is already way out of, but who went and committed some of the greatest atrocities in our modern era, right? He shot like 50 kids point blank
after bombing a city center to draw the emergency.
There, right? And his closing statement in his trial, and this isn't polemical. It reads like a Breitbart column. I mean, just objectively. And Ayaan Hirsi Ali's big contribution to that conversation was like, well, I understand because Muslims.
And the SJW, basically the SJWs won't let us talk about Muslims.
Right, you couldn't say what he needed to say in Norway, so he needed to leave his mom's house and commit mass murder.
Well, I'm sorry that Ruben is struggling so much with this. That's all I want to say. Is that
well, if he was willing to talk to us, maybe we could educate him.
Well, it's funny that you say that, Jamie, because and look. This can get very juvenile. Stuff like this.
Oh,
this
boy.
stuff. This is a little bit juvenile. All right. Apparently somebody set up a GoFundMe to create a billboard to mock Dave Rubin that he will not debate me, and it's going to go up in L.A. Apparently they only needed $1,000. They dropped the amount that they did, and they're just going to leave it up there. It's going to be on a digital billboard for an extended period of time. I think that comes in there's 6 updates. Now, of course, this is juvenile. It's also juvenile to say, hey, let's look at this clip from TYT the other night that where they said just almost randomly this came up. That's also juvenile. And let me show you how juvenile. It's like this juvenile. Yeah, exactly.
To some degree, I have, and it's hard some days, but some degree of sympathy for Dave Rubin.
No, 0.
Yes,
because look,
he knows.
But that's the thing. He knows. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows he's sold out, and so like I feel like Ben Shapiro sleeps perfectly fine at night. He's like, oh, I'm doing a great thing. This is wonderful. I'm ideologically consistent, right? Whereas like Dave Rubin, he knows.
Like he keeps denying that he's a fraud. Mm-hmm. But like everyone knows, people who watch your show and pretend like they like it, they know you're a fraud. You know, like the fact that he's so scared to have a conversation with Sam Seder. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love watching it. Someone paid $100 in YouTube Super Chat, right? to ask Dave Rubin about Sam Seder, like, why won't you debate him? And he purposely phrased the question to make it seem as though he's on Dave Rubin's side, like calling Sam Seder an SJW. And so he's reading this comment out live. And then once he starts realizing that this is a question about debating Sam Seder, he went, don't worry about those guys. Don't worry about those. Like, he's so afraid.
Precious. So, by the way, if you guys are new and you don't know, Dave used to work here. And then he went and like became a right-winger pretending to be a classic liberal, whatever the fuck that means, right? Paid, by, to some degree, large degree, by the Koch brothers foundations, et cetera. And it's a little revolting to look at. And we know for a fact that he goes and lies about his time here, right?
Yeah.
Why he left and what his experience was. We're like, what the fuck? That's not what happened at all, right?
Yeah.
But since we know for a fact that he knows that he's lying, that's what makes me think he's probably has a little trouble sleeping at night. But maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I sleep like a baby. I have no conscience or intellect. I think it works.
Now, obviously, that type of stuff is really immature and beneath us. But
I love being immature with Anna and talking about Dave Rubin. We do that every single time we do a segment together.
Well,
The
I mean,
guy
it's
is an
interesting. I
endless
mean,
source of
but the
immaturity.
serious point about it is, of course, that it's very hard for Dave, I would imagine, to maintain his core brand proposition of being someone who wants to expand the playing field for conversations and welcomes, people who are from the alt-right and people who deny things like date rape onto his show. But he won't have someone on who will challenge some of his assertions about liberalism and whatnot. And so that's very difficult for Dave. And so he has to transition to other things. And so in that way, I want to say I'm sincerely sympathetic, because it would be very, very difficult, I think, to try and change your brand midstream in front of tens of thousands of people.
Are you saying that Dave is going to become a white nationalist so he doesn't have to debate you?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that he's going to probably have to find something new, because who could possibly believe his whole branding of this, of being intellectually curious under these circumstances? Honestly, like, they're not going to be, I'm sure that Barry Weiss, who was that New York Times writer who wrote about it, I'm sure now she regrets on some level that she was so hoodwinked by this, right? So that's all I'm saying.
Who's really getting hoodwinked by Dave Rubin?
I imagine she must have been, because
she must have been. She's a golden retriever.
Well, I mean, look, a lot of people like golden retrievers. I had a
Yeah,
part
don't
golden
say that about golden
Irish
retrievers. That's mean, Virgil.
Retrievers are great dogs.
They're very
I
loyal.
would never insult golden
They
retrievers.
don't do any Hasbara.
Being deplatformed.
This is interesting. Here we go. So, Jeff Stein from the Washington Post. This morning, I confirmed with Booker's aides, that he supports Medicare for All. Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All bill, which Booker has co-sponsored, would virtually eliminate private health insurance in more or less 4 years. However, Matt Visor, who I guess is a reporter at the Washington Post, Cory Booker asked if he would be in favor of eliminating private health insurance. No. So, stuff like this makes me feel like the depth in which they have really invested into this policy is not so deep. Right? Like, that's what the tip off here is. Like, you could say, like, I don't know if you can measure someone's I guess genuineness about these things, but you can measure the depth in which they have like spent some time with an issue. And if you don't realize that you've signed on to co-sponsor a bill that would eliminate private insurance, then I think that any position you take on this is suspect.
Well, it's a reluctance to challenge the influence of private insurers.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Everyone's talking about, Medicare for all. Yeah, that's good. I support that. I want to run for president. That's the thing you say when you have to run for president in 2020.
No, and
Yeah.
we're not talking about sort of insurance company managed universal care. We're talking about Medicare for all.
Yeah, and they are
which
not,
is the moderate position, frankly, between NHS and what we have.
and they are not different versions of the same thing either. When they're like, oh, there's lots of different ways we can get to there. We can expropriate a very powerful sector of the economy, or we can do it with tax credits. Like, no, like we know that the tax credits thing doesn't work because they already tried it with Obamacare.
Yeah, and I think Bernie would be just fine if he's the only person on that stage saying, yeah, we have to eliminate the private health insurance companies and we have to rob them of their ability to dictate policy.
It'll be interesting to see how explicit Warren is when she's asked that question. She's also a co-sponsor of that bill.
Well, if Warren comes out and she says, and in the spirit of reforming capitalism, we need to also kill insurance companies executives, then I think that would feed your speculation.
She had this exchange with Joe Weisenthal.
Oh, this one did not look good.
Bloomberg.
This did not look good.
Right now, your vision for Medicare for all, would it be, it would all be a public option, or would it also include private insurance? So right now, there are multiple bills on the floor of the United States. I've signed on to Medicare for all. I've signed on to another one that gives an option for buying into Medicaid. That's the Schatz bill from Hawaii. There are different ways we can get there, but the key has always been to keep the center of the bullseye in mind, and that is affordable health care for every American. Well, that's
not a great answer.
That doesn't sound so strong.
Actually, the best answer was Kamala Harris before she reversed herself.
Right.
Before she realized how strong it was.
Just like
we're
we
done
gotta
with
move
that.
past that. And like insurance companies, no, that's done.
Like, yes,
that was
please.
an incredibly
Insurance
impressive
companies
answer.
are canceled. Yes, Queen.
Here is this is good. We're going to have on Monday. We're going to have Corey Johnson on. He is the Speaker of the New York City Council, and he's also acting public advocate. And he spoke out pretty strongly, or it sort of grilled the Amazon of folks, which was nice to see when he came in. And now this was another. This is another Amazon one. Is this the same one?
No, they did another hearing 3 hours the other day.
Oh, they did. Okay, here's another hearing, and he wanted to know why the city is giving such subsidies to such a wealthy company.
We are in favor of the positive economic impact this project will bring to this city.
Well, the people in Seattle don't agree with that and how they felt they've been treated by you all. So you can say that here today before you're here, but city council members from Seattle traveled to New York City to warn us about your deceptive practices, promises that you make and break, and how you swallow up small businesses, how you attempt to water down local legislation, how you lobby local government, municipal government for your own means. So if we look at what you've done in Seattle, it doesn't add up to what you're doing here today. And you are in a union city. This is a city that was built by unions, a city that loves unions, a city that has the highest per capita of union jobs in the entire United States. And one of the first answers to your question today is, would you be neutral? You said no. That is not a way to come to our city, a city where 20% of people are living at or below the poverty line.
It's nice to see somebody talking to him that way. And you know, particularly in light of what we now know about the Foxconn deal in Wisconsin, it's going to be interesting to see how much of a cautionary tale that is for folks in the city. I think a lot of people are going to be running and positioning themselves against Amazon.
Kind of makes it awkward for all the unions that support the Amazon deal.
I would imagine they're going to have to come to some type of I don't know, deal with them. But it's hard, you know. New York state politics, such a mess and cross current of transactions. It seems to me that, but you know, I think the key to this is, and these my understanding, and we're going to ask Corey Johnson about this. My understanding is that these subsidies are available to anybody, any company. It's just that they're going to be hoovering up so much of it that it seems to me is problematic. Like that do we need such a player with such concentrated wealth and size? And
yeah, but when you think of the synergy of having that kind of wealth near a large public housing project. I mean,
That's
just
right.
imagine the Howard Schultzian ideas.
All you
that
need is
might
like
come
one
out
of those